Welcome to Wisdom and Wealth, a channel dedicated to helping you navigate life's complexities with clarity and inner peace. If you're over 40, you've likely experienced the ups and downs that life throws our way, and maybe you're searching for a deeper understanding of how to create lasting fulfillment. I encourage you to consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel, Wisdom and Wealth. Most people aren't truly defeated by external circumstances, but by the internal narratives that replay in their minds. Take a moment to reflect on this. Are you consciously guiding your thoughts, or are your thoughts steering you? Because if you don't actively take control, the world will inevitably shape your perspective for you. Life's challenges can be easier to face if we tame our thoughts and calm our mind. It is key to your peace of mind and can benefit all aspects of your life, which is why I ask that you consider subscribing to Wisdom and Wealth. What if I told you that the inner turmoil you experience, the anxiety, the relentless stress, the ceaseless mental chatter, isn't something imposed upon you from the outside, but something you're, in some way, allowing? With every passing day, with every thought you choose to dwell on, you're making a conscious choice. The Buddha wisely said, "Peace comes from within, do not seek it without." Yet, how often do we search for peace in external achievements, in seeking the approval of others, or in the constant noise of the world, completely forgetting that it was always accessible within ourselves? Right now, you might feel trapped in a cycle. You relentlessly pursue success, seek out fulfilling relationships, and crave admiration, falsely believing that these external validations will finally bring you a sense of lasting peace. But ironically, the faster you chase after these things, the further genuine peace seems to drift away. It is a vicious cycle that is hard to escape from, but there is a way out. A way to quiet the incessant storm raging in your mind and uncover the tranquility that lies beneath the surface. There is a road to follow for a more peaceful state of mind. Your mind is like an untamed forest, a wild, tangled, and seemingly overwhelming landscape. But what if you could learn to navigate this forest with clarity and purpose? What if that perceived chaos could be transformed into your greatest strength, your stress could be channeled into unwavering discipline, and your pain could be transmuted into an unbreakable inner power? This video will serve as your compass and guide. We'll delve into timeless Buddhist wisdom, combining it with practical, disciplined practices to help you reclaim control of your mind and reshape your reality. If there's one key lesson you take away from this video, let it be this: discipline is the bridge that carries you from pain to peace. Cross it, and stay with me until the end, because there's a powerful bonus lesson waiting that could fundamentally transform how you perceive yourself and your life. Let's begin. Lesson 1: True peace begins with taming your restless mind. Your mind is often like a restless monkey, swinging wildly from one thought to another. It constantly dwells on regrets of the past, fuels anxieties about the future, and chases after cravings that never seem to find fulfillment. It chatters incessantly throughout the day, filling your head with doubts, fears, and countless distractions. But here's a simple, yet profound truth: a mind left untrained and undisciplined ultimately becomes its own prison. To get rid of that feeling, and to gain more peace of mind, I invite you to subscribe to Wisdom and Wealth. Buddhist wisdom teaches us that the mind is akin to a stormy river. When its waters are turbulent and agitated, you only perceive distortion and chaos. But when the river grows calm, it reflects the world around it with perfect clarity. Imagine yourself standing beside such a river. The current is fierce, the surface is wild and muddy. When you look down, all you see is confusion. This is the state of an untrained mind, noisy, scattered, and overwhelmed. Yet, when the river's waters settle, its surface becomes as clear as glass. You haven't changed the river itself, you've simply allowed it to become still. In the same way, true peace isn't about changing the world outside of you, it's about calming the storm within. Many people live their entire lives without ever questioning the validity of their thoughts. They blindly believe every fear that arises, follow every doubt that creeps in, and chase after every craving that presents itself. Their minds pull them in 100 different directions, and they never realize they're no longer truly living. Instead, they're simply reacting. Have you ever sat in complete silence, completely isolated from your phone and all other forms of noise, just you and your thoughts? For most people, this feels unbearable after only a few minutes. The mind rebels, demanding constant stimulation to escape its own internal chaos. Why? Because it has never been taught the art of stillness. But understand this: discipline is the essential bridge connecting inner chaos to lasting peace. To truly master your mind, you must first train it to remain present in this very moment, rather than wandering into the regrets of yesterday or the fears of tomorrow. Start with a simple practice. Sit quietly, close your eyes, and gently bring your attention to your breath. Feel the cool air entering your nostrils, filling your lungs, and then leaving your body with a sense of warmth. When your thoughts inevitably begin to wander, gently guide your attention back to your breath, again and again, until your mind learns to listen, until its protests begin to fade, and a sense of stillness begins to bloom within you. At first, this practice will likely feel uncomfortable. The restless monkey within will resist being tamed. But discipline isn't about choosing what is easy, it's about choosing what is necessary for your growth and well-being. As you train your mind to return to stillness, distractions will gradually lose their grip over you. Fear will no longer dictate your every move. Overthinking will no longer drown your peace. Instead, you will begin to experience a quiet clarity, a deep, focused presence that remains undisturbed by the noise of the world. Ask yourself honestly, when was the last time you allowed yourself to simply sit in pure silence, free from any and all distractions? If you can't remember, perhaps today is the day to begin. Discipline your mind, and you will soon discover that peace was never far away, it was simply waiting for you to come home to yourself. Lesson 2. Embrace impermanence to end your suffering. We spend much of our lives seeking certainty, desperately hoping that the things we love will remain forever. We convince ourselves that people won't leave, that success won't fade, and that our bodies will stay young and strong. But the truth is, life is never still. Life is change. To achieve a more solid and serene state of mind, it is best to learn more about living in the present, which is why I recommend you consider subscribing to Wisdom and Wealth. Like the ocean's tide, it moves endlessly, constantly reshaping everything it touches. When we fight against this fundamental truth, we create our own suffering. Imagine building a delicate sandcastle on the shore. You craft each tower and wall with meticulous care, feeling a sense of pride as it glistens in the sunlight. For a fleeting moment, it feels as though it will stand forever. But then, the tide begins to rise. The waves creep closer and closer. Fear grips you as you desperately try to shield your creation, determined to keep it untouched. Yet, no matter how hard you fight, the ocean always claims it in the end. This is the natural way of life. Buddhist wisdom teaches us that attachment is the root of our suffering. We cling to people, possessions, and identities as if they somehow define us. We think their permanence gives them value, but the truth is, nothing remains the same. Relationships end, careers shift, even the person you were just a few years ago no longer exists in the same way. Still, we hold on tightly, terrified of what their loss might mean. But what if, instead of clinging, you chose to embrace impermanence? Think about the things you fear losing the most: your job, your youth, someone you love deeply. Notice how that fear creates suffering within you. We resist change because we crave control. But true peace arises when we stop grasping and begin appreciating what is here right now. Life, like the sandcastle, is meant to be built with love, admired with gratitude, and released with grace. The first step towards inner freedom is to directly confront our illusions, the misguided belief that anything in life is truly permanent. This doesn't mean you stop loving, caring, or striving. It means you no longer fear change as an enemy. Start small. Each day, reflect on something you're holding onto too tightly. Is it a painful memory? An unrealistic expectation of how life should be? A resentment that continues to weigh down your heart? Choose one small attachment each week and practice letting it go. It could be deleting an old message you keep revisiting, forgiving someone who never said sorry, or simply accepting that some questions will forever remain unanswered. At first, letting go feels uncomfortable because the mind believes control keeps you safe. But real strength isn't found in holding on, it's found in knowing when to release. When you embrace impermanence, you lose nothing of true value. Instead, you gain a freedom far greater than certainty, the freedom to love without fearing loss, the freedom to try without fearing failure, the freedom to live fully without waiting for life to perfectly align. Ask yourself today, what am I most afraid to lose, and why? Because what you fear losing may be the very chain holding you back from living fully and peacefully. Lesson 3: Your true power emerges when ego falls silent. The mind carries immense power. Yet, the ego often builds walls that keep that power hidden. It whispers doubts into your heart, telling you that you're not ready, that you're too small to dream big, too weak to rise to the occasion. Each whisper tightens its grip until you begin to believe you are less than what you truly are. To get rid of that feeling, and to gain more peace of mind, I invite you to subscribe to Wisdom and Wealth. But imagine for a moment, what if you could silence that inner voice? What if, instead of thinking, "This is impossible," you simply ask yourself, "Why not try?" Buddhist wisdom teaches that the ego is like an iron cage. Break free from it, and you will soar beyond every limit you once imagined. Visualize a bird born with wings wide enough to touch the sky, yet kept inside a small cage all its life. The door remains open, but the bird never steps out. It has forgotten what freedom feels like. This is what the ego does to us. It builds a cage with our fears and convinces us we can never fly beyond it. It tells us that our past mistakes define our worth, that it's better to remain safe than to risk the pain of trying. But what is safety without freedom? True freedom begins the moment you stop believing these lies. How often do you say to yourself, "I can't do this. I can't start that new business. I can't change my body. I can't transform my life"? But pause and ask yourself, who told you that? Was it your own truth? Or was it the voice of fear, past failures, and the doubts of others echoing in your mind? What if you chose to live as if limits didn't exist? The truth is, success isn't solely about intelligence or luck, it is rooted in the belief that you are capable. A belief born from disciplining the mind to reject the illusions of ego. Follow what I call the 100% rule, commit completely to what you desire. Half-hearted efforts bring half-lived results. When your mind is crowded with doubts, you sabotage yourself before even taking the first step. But a disciplined mind quiets these fears and moves forward despite them. When you replace "I can't" with "I will try," something powerful begins to unfold. The bars of your cage start to vanish. Where you once saw obstacles, you begin to see open roads. Start by challenging one self-limiting belief each day. When fear tells you you're not ready, prove it wrong by simply beginning. When doubt tells you you're not good enough, remember that growth is born from action, not perfection. The ego is not your true identity, it is merely a loud voice, and you have the choice not to listen. Ask yourself right now, what would I attempt if I wasn't afraid? Visualize the paths that would open, the confidence you'd build, the life you would finally allow yourself to live. Remember, you were never born to remain locked inside a cage of doubt and fear, you were born to spread your wings and fly. So take that first step today, discipline your mind, silence your ego, and set yourself free to become who you were always meant to be. Lesson 4: Discipline, the path of balance, not extremes. Discipline is often misunderstood. It's not about punishing yourself or sacrificing your peace to achieve progress. Yet, many believe there are only two options in life: to push themselves to exhaustion or surrender completely to comfort. Both are traps that lead to suffering. Burnout leaves you empty, laziness leaves you unfulfilled. The real key lies in balance, showing up with steady effort without destroying yourself in the process. To get rid of that feeling, and to gain more peace of mind, I invite you to subscribe to Wisdom and Wealth. Buddhist wisdom teaches that discipline is like tuning a musical instrument. If the strings are pulled too tightly, they snap under pressure. But if they're too loose, they produce no sound at all. Imagine holding a guitar. If its strings are wound until they're nearly breaking, the music turns sharp and harsh before the string inevitably breaks. But if the strings are left slack, no melody can ever emerge. Your mind, your body, and your life are no different. Push too hard, and you risk breaking. Do too little, and you never grow. Some people chase success with relentless force. They work endlessly, ignoring their health, their relationships, and their inner peace. They convince themselves that struggle equals progress, but think of a candle burning too fast. It burns bright for a moment, but quickly dies out, leaving only darkness behind. On the other hand, some people fall into quiet complacency. They wait endlessly for motivation to appear, they desire change but never take a single step towards it. And so time slips by, leaving behind only regret. Because time does not wait, it moves forward whether you act or stand still. True discipline is not found in these extremes, it lives in the middle way. It is the quiet commitment to rise each day and do what needs to be done patiently, mindfully, and with purpose. It is knowing when to push yourself forward and when to rest, when to act with strength, and when to sit in stillness. A disciplined mind understands that real growth is not born from self-punishment, it is born from balance. Take a moment to reflect on your own life. Are you pushing yourself to the point of exhaustion, mistaking self-destruction for ambition? Or are you holding back, waiting for the perfect moment to begin? To find your true strength, find your balance. Begin creating a routine that honors both effort and rest. Work with intention and focus, but remember to set clear boundaries. Push your body to grow stronger, but nourish it with equal care. Train your mind with discipline but offer it stillness to heal. Success is never built on a single day of extreme action, it is built upon small, consistent efforts repeated mindfully day after day. Ask yourself today, where in my life am I out of balance? If you are always tired, perhaps it is time to slow down. If you are always waiting, perhaps it is time to start moving. Remember, discipline is not about doing more, it is about doing what truly matters with centeredness and care, without breaking yourself along the way. Find your balance, and there you will find a strength that endures. Lesson 5. Release attachment. Your true enemy isn't pain. Pain is woven into the fabric of life. It arrives and departs like the seasons, sometimes sharp as winter's chill, sometimes gentle as autumn's fading warmth, but always passing. Suffering, however, is a different story. Suffering is not pain itself, it is the burden we choose to carry long after pain has visited. To get rid of that feeling, and to gain more peace of mind, I invite you to subscribe to Wisdom and Wealth. At its root lies one silent force, attachment. We cling so tightly to people, to dreams, to expectations of how life should unfold. And when life inevitably changes course, we are left shattered by our own resistance. But pause for a moment and ask yourself, what if pain was never the true problem? What if suffering comes not from pain, but from your refusal to let go? Buddhist wisdom tells us that attachment is like gripping a burning coal. The tighter you hold on, the deeper it burns. Imagine holding a glowing ember in your palm. The searing pain strikes instantly, but instead of releasing it, you grip it harder, believing that your stubbornness will somehow ease the burn. It doesn't, the pain only deepens. This is what attachment does to us. When we refuse to release what is already slipping away, we create wounds that could have healed if only we had let go. Reflect on your life today. What are you holding on to that continues to cause you pain? Perhaps it's a relationship that no longer nourishes your soul. Or maybe it's an old identity, a version of yourself you've outgrown yet refuse to release. Perhaps it is an expectation that life should have unfolded according to your plans. The tighter you grip, the more you suffer. But true freedom begins the moment you loosen your hold. Detachment is not coldness, nor is it indifference, it is the deep understanding that nothing in this world truly belongs to us, not people, not success, not even our fleeting emotions. Everything is temporary. And it is this impermanence that makes life so precious. Yes, pain will come. Loss is part of being human. Life will not always move according to your will. But suffering arises only when you resist what is, when you expect love to remain unchanged, when you believe happiness should be permanent, when you tie your worth to things that were never meant to stay forever. But once you learn the art of letting go, peace gently follows. Practice detachment not by abandoning love or effort, but by releasing your need to control outcomes. Begin small. Each day, let go of just one expectation. If someone doesn't reply, accept it without spiraling into self-doubt. If plans shift, adapt with grace instead of frustration. When fear tells you that you need something to be happy, gently challenge that voice. The less you cling, the freer you become. Ask yourself today, what am I gripping so tightly that it burns me with suffering? Whatever it is, begin to loosen your hold. Trust in this simple truth: what is meant to stay will remain, and what is meant to leave was never yours to keep. Remember, your peace is not born from control, it is born from surrender. Let go, and you will finally feel what it means to be truly free. Lesson 6: Embrace emptiness, creating space for true clarity. Your mind is like a room. When it is crowded with noise, cluttered with distractions, and filled with unnecessary thoughts, it becomes impossible to find what truly matters. Lost in the chaos of overthinking, self-doubt, and constant stimulation, you forget the quiet strength that lives within you. But what happens when you clear the clutter? When you remove what no longer serves you and allow stillness to enter? Suddenly, clarity appears. You can see with fresh eyes, you can think with calm intention. You can finally breathe. Understand this: emptiness is not a loss, it is the silent beginning of something far greater. Buddhist wisdom teaches that the mind is like a crowded room. Empty it, and you will find what you truly seek. Picture yourself stepping into a room overflowing with random objects, papers scattered everywhere, furniture piled high. You're searching for something important, but it's buried beneath layers of things that don't matter. This is what an undisciplined mind feels like: heavy, chaotic, filled with distractions, regrets, worries, and endless noise. Now imagine walking into the same room, but it is open and spacious. The floor is clear, the shelves are empty, and sunlight pours in without obstruction. You move freely, breathe deeply, and see clearly. In that space, you find exactly what you need. We fill our minds just as we fill our lives with distractions, possessions, attachments, and burdens. We convince ourselves we need social media feeds, endless notifications, constant comparisons. These are all forms of mental clutter. We hoard old fears and negative thoughts the way we hoard broken objects in forgotten drawers. But real clarity is not created by adding more, it is revealed when you begin to let go. Reflect for a moment on your daily life. How much of your mental energy is spent on things that do not nourish your soul? Worries about what is gone. Anxieties about what hasn't arrived, the weight of opinions that hold no true meaning. What if you chose to create space instead? What if, instead of reacting to every thought that arises, you allowed stillness to enter its place? This is the quiet power of emptiness. It is not a void to fear, but a field of potential waiting to bloom. Begin small. Declutter your environment, remove one object that serves no purpose. Declutter your mind, release one thought that burdens you each day. Set aside a few minutes to let go of something, a commitment that drains your energy, a resentment that poisons your peace. A fear that no longer protects you. Make space for peace, make space for focus, make space for what truly matters to your soul's journey. You do not need to fill every moment with noise, you do not need to keep every thought that enters your mind. Remember this: the strongest minds are not those that hold the most, but those that have mastered the quiet discipline of letting go. Ask yourself today, what is one thing I can release right now to create space within me? In that emptiness, you will discover the clarity and peace you've been seeking all along. Lesson 7. Action is the only true therapy. The mind has a clever way of keeping us stuck. It calls it thinking. It builds endless scenarios, weighs every possible outcome, and convinces you that you need more time, more certainty, more preparation before you can act. But in truth, overthinking is simply fear disguised as wisdom. It feels like progress, but it leads only to paralysis. Each time you hesitate, self-doubt grows stronger. Every moment lost to endless analysis is a moment that could have moved your life forward. Ask yourself, what if, instead of thinking about action, you simply acted? Buddhist wisdom tells us that action is like a river. It creates its path by moving forward, never by standing still. Imagine a river flowing through a valley. It does not pause to wonder whether the rocks are too large or if the path ahead is unclear. It keeps flowing, it adapts. It carves its way forward with quiet persistence. But what happens to water that stops flowing? It turns stagnant, it loses its purity and life. Your mind is the same. When you refuse to act, your thoughts begin to decay, feeding fear rather than growth. Many people wait for the perfect time, the perfect mood, the perfect confidence to appear. But perfection is a mirage that keeps you rooted in place. The only way to build true confidence, to find real clarity, and to transform your life is through action. Not tomorrow, not when you feel ready, but right now. Think for a moment about something you've been overthinking. A dream you keep delaying because fear or doubt keeps whispering in your ear. Ask yourself honestly, what is the worst that could happen if I act today? And what is the best that could happen if I don't wait any longer? The mind will always find reasons to delay, but waiting only feeds your suffering. Imagine two people standing at the edge of a cold river. One stands frozen, analyzing the water, worrying about the temperature, waiting for courage. The other takes a breath and steps in. The cold shocks their body for a moment, then they are swimming, feeling alive and free. The lesson here is simple: the only way to overcome fear is to move towards it. Discipline is not endless planning, it is movement. It is taking that next step forward, even if it is small, even if it is imperfect. Because only action creates change. Every great achievement you admire began with someone who took the first step before they felt completely ready. Remember this truth. It is better to take 10 imperfect steps forward than to remain frozen in place. Even failure is progress, even mistakes teach us, but inaction teaches nothing. A mind that refuses to act is like a blade left to soak in water. It rusts, it weakens, it loses its sharpness. So begin today. Start small. Make one decision without overthinking it. Take one action that moves you closer to where you want to be. It doesn't need to be flawless, it simply needs to happen. Because clarity never comes from thinking alone, it comes from doing. Ask yourself right now, what is one thing I keep overthinking instead of acting on? And what is stopping me from taking that step today? Bonus lesson: the art of returning. Your true power lies in beginning again. In life, we often believe that power is about never falling, never failing, never feeling lost. But the deepest power is something far simpler and infinitely stronger. It is the art of returning. No matter how disciplined you become, there will be days when you slip back into old habits. Days when fear feels louder than your courage, days when your mind feels like a battlefield again. But understand this: your worth is never measured by how perfectly you walk your path, it is measured by your willingness to begin again, no matter how many times you've fallen. Imagine a candle flickering in the wind. Each gust threatens to extinguish its flame. Sometimes it dims, nearly fades, but then it returns, glowing once more in the darkness. This is your true power, to rise each time you falter. Buddhist wisdom teaches us that the journey is not about reaching some perfect, unbroken state, it is about the quiet courage to come back to your breath, your peace, your purpose again and again. Ask yourself today, when I fall off my path, do I judge myself, or do I simply begin again? Here lies a secret: the people you admire are not those who never failed. They are the ones who kept returning to their purpose no matter how many times they stumbled. Because each return makes your spirit stronger, each return brings you closer to your true self. So when you lose focus, return to your breath. When fear blinds your vision, return to your courage. When doubt chains your feet, return to your action. Remember, falling is not the end, staying down is. Your power lies in your return. Conclusion: today, you've learned that discipline is not harshness, it is balance. That freedom is not found in clinging, but in letting go. That action, not overthinking, is the bridge to your true power. And that your mind is both your greatest challenge and your greatest ally, if only you choose to master it. Remember, these teachings are not just words to admire, they are paths to walk, breaths to take, choices to live by every single day. Because in the end, your life will be shaped not by what you know, but by what you practice. If this video touched your heart, imagine what awaits you in the next one. Subscribe now and join this journey of returning to your calmest, strongest, and truest self. Comment below. What is the one attachment, fear, or thought you will release today to create space for peace within you? Like, share, and subscribe so these teachings continue to guide you every day. And remember, your journey to mastering your mind begins not tomorrow, but right now.